I am of the Mansion team in Austin, Texas. If we're not connected on Instagram, this is where you can find me. I'm at
Oh,
the.mansion.team. And then I've got Ian Williams, who is one of my favorite people. He is also in Austin, and even though we're like competitors, if I were to go on a listing appointment and lose, and I found out that the client picked Ian Williams, I would just be like, "Oh, okay, it's all good." Like Ian's my friend. But Ian works North Austin, Georgetown area, and if you're not following his account, you should definitely check it out. One of the reasons I had him on this account is because he just does really cool things with editing. So let me see if I can pick, I don't know,
heck.
like this one. This is one I think I showed. All right. So he does lots of cool stuff. Obviously, he's like a gymnast. You don't need to worry about, okay, I can't I can't do all of that. What he's going to show you is just how he does some cool things that make his videos more eye-catching, attention-getting. And he's got the gymnast thing going, the t-shirts, the hat, a lot of cool stuff with his brand. But I'm going to turn it over to Ian and kind of let you talk a little bit more about like yourself. You know, you can tell him about your business and whatever, and just we'll kind of take it from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Shannon.
How
I
is
appreciate
going?
you.
Yes.
Always appreciate you. I want to start off by saying that I know that y'all aren't here, you don't care about me, but I do want to share some like base information. Um, I I built a lot of my real estate business off of social media, and I would say 90% of my clients originally came from social media, including
What
these
the
little
hell? How?
transitions and tricks and stuff that you're seeing. Let me see if I
Oh,
can
there. I'm like,
mute Ken.
heck is
Hold on. Hold on. Ken, bro. I love you, man. But there we go. All right. So I just like Shannon, I've hit elite agent at our brokerage, which just means that we actually sell houses. A lot of people see these little transitions and all these things and they think that's all I do. But no, this leads to conversations with clients. It leads to actual relationships, and it just pulls people into your circle, in your sphere, so that you can have the conversations with them that are necessary to build your business. So one thing that I want to start off with, a lot of people ask immediately, well, what gear do you use? I want to start by saying everything I do, or 95% of what I do, is just my cell phone. I don't really play around with, and I have $4,000 cameras. I don't use them because it always ends up being, do you have that with you? Is that the thing that you know, like, can you work on it? If you have it on your camera, are you going to remember to take the memory card off your camera, download the files, upload it to somewhere else, or email it? Well, you can't email it because it's usually too large to email. And so if you can't email it, are you going to drop it on Google Drive? Or are you going to drop it in Dropbox? Like, how do you get that content either A, onto your machine that you're going to work on, B, onto your phone, or C, to somebody else who's actually going to do the work? And so all that falls into, it's so much easier to do it on your phone. And so Capcut is a wonderful tool that allows you to take all of this stuff that's on your phone and turn it into content pretty rapidly. So that's why I stick to Capcut and the mobile phone. It is also available on your desktop, iPad, everything. It is ubiquitous across all the platforms. And I guess, let's see, how many people in here are already using Capcut? I guess drop a 1 in the chat if you feel like you're proficient with Capcut, and then drop a 2 in the chat if you're like, I haven't heard of it before today. Interesting. Okay. Good. And love the desktop version too. What I've learned, or what I feel, is the desktop version they didn't prioritize that. They don't have as many features on it, but as far as like the fundamentals of it, it works very similar. So and we'll go over that. We'll go over like all the different sections of the app, but the fundamentals of it are the same. They're still catching up with adding a lot of the features, the transitions, and some of these things in the desktop version.
Cool. Where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about like any particular edits that work really well, or like basics, or?
Yeah. So I wanted to go over a couple more pieces of gear that could be beneficial. And then I do want to ask, I mean, I guess you can always talk about this in the comments. What are the types of edits that you've seen that you want to replicate? I can go that route, or I can just go step by step and start with fundamental things and then move into a little more advanced strategies. Okay, so I noticed Tracy says she used InShot. So I want to talk about that. There are a lot of apps out there that can do almost the same thing as CapCut. The particular reason why I tend to lean towards CapCut is because it's essentially TikTok unbranded. And it's on all the platforms. You can't necessarily get the same version of InShot. It is on the Android, but on different phones or on your desktop. Like InShot on the web is not going to be like InShot on your phone, where CapCut seems to have kind of this same brand feel across the board. And so if I'm used to something, I can jump to another platform. I can jump to an Apple. I can jump to a Windows machine. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but if you're ever borrowing a computer or you have to go somewhere else, having access to that, like one app that you know that you can use and you can find everywhere, tends to make it a little easier for when I'm editing, when I'm trying to do something, or if I'm trying to explain something. So I'm going to show you a couple more things that are really cool. If you're ever doing videos, half of my videos I don't talk in, which it's interesting because it still gets people to click and to engage and to drop into my DMs. But if you do talk, having a mic, and I know many people have talked about this, I always love having a lapel mic because, and the reason why I choose wireless, and this is really important, if you choose wireless, you can be far away and it sounds just as clear, right? You're not tethered to a device. But you can also take this exact mic and it has a plugin for a line-in mic, a wired mic, a lav mic you've probably heard. And so you can put this on your, clip it to your pants or something like that, run a cable through your shirt, and then still have the mic here. But also this particular brand allows you to, it's magnetic. And so it allows you to clip it here without actually having to clip it on the edge of something. The reason why that's important is because depending on what styles of clothing you wear, like t-shirts, clipping it up here does not work the same, right? Or it's bouncing around and it just gets really annoying. And so I had to find one that was magnetic. Works really well, connects to your phone, all sorts of things. So that's one thing that's super beneficial. And then the case charges the device. There are a few brands like that out here. If you have any interest in any of this stuff, just DM me on Instagram at Ian of Austin. And
it might be helpful also at the end. You can shoot me like some of your top picks for like the microphones or whatever, and I'll send it out. I always send out like a little newsletter that recaps what we did, and so I can send that out to everyone as well too.
I love it. Okay, that's one. Second, I always have a trusty dusty tripod. Let's call it trusty dusty. I always have a tripod. That is the one thing that I feel has allowed me to do the creative things that you're talking about, Shannon.
Yeah.
If you have a gimbal, that's fine most of the time if you don't want to be in the video. If you're like videoing somebody else. So you'll see people walking around with the gimbal and it makes it all smooth and stuff. But depending on the platform that you're working on, and I think this is because we're talking about Instagram specifically, people are starting to cater more towards like raw, right? Like people just want realistic stuff. They don't necessarily want this super high produced. And so that's why in my mind, the tripod works out a little bit better for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can walk around with the tripod. Let me show you this particular one. So it pulls out like this, gets as long as you need it to get. Okay. It has the phone holder that you can also spin. You can also angle. So you can do everything you need. And at the other end, it is a standard tripod. So it's all built in to this little like bully stick. Real small, easy to.
That could also help you if you're alone at a vacant house and someone sneaks in. I'm like, it could also serve as a bully stick.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Like, get out of here. But so the reason why I say this is because a lot of the times you'll see the videos where, let's say I'm far away or I'm doing a backflip or something like that. I can set this down, put the phone in here, hit record, go do what I'm going to do. and then later come back and edit it, because I do a lot of this solo. Like, I don't have anybody, I don't hire a videographer for any of this. Could I? Yeah, but I love the process, which is really sad. But I just love doing it so much that I spend more time playing around. But it makes it easy. I don't have to wait for anybody to go do my work. Okay, so that's another one. Lastly, I think two more. What are we at? 11, 12? Yeah, perfect. Okay, two more. Always need a charger. I don't know how many times I've been in a situation where people don't realize that if you're shooting 4K content on your phone, you're going to drain your battery almost instantaneously. And so I always have a charger that has multiple styles of plugs. So this is like old school iPhone. Everything within the last year and beyond has been USB-C, and then it has the old Android thing, and then it plugs into the wall. So anytime I go to a house, I plug this into the wall at the house, and I don't have to carry any extra cables, and I can always charge my phone in between going to different houses or in between ideas and shoots. Cool. Last one. Is this good? Is this okay? Like, is this beneficial for people?
Seeing lots of thumbs up,
Good.
head nods, yes.
Again, the one that matters is the phone and the tripod. Those are the two that matter the most. But these other two, the microphones, depending on how you have your conversations, are beneficial. The charger, you never want to be caught without data or without power. Can't even get in houses half the time without power. And then the last one, so I've been using camera glasses for, I don't know, like 6 years now. But finally, Facebook made a pair that works out really well and allows you to go live. Some people have a challenge going, like, doing video or being on the video. So now imagine this. You can have these glasses that have the cameras on them. You can go live or you can record content, but it's through a point of view perspective. And you're hands free. So I can be here doing whatever I'm doing, you know, using my phone, taking pictures, but I'm recording what's happening with my hands, and I'm not really in the video. The reason why this is important, I'm big on, like, why are we doing things, not just doing them. The reason why this is important is because, one, it allows you to make content without necessarily having to jump into being on video. Two, story is becoming one of the highest conversions. It's always been, but it's absolutely a focal point these years, like lately, especially as we're trying to prove that we offer tons of value for people, for our clients. So stories, being able to tell stories and give people that perspective, this is a tool that allows people to do that.
Love it. People love seeing behind the scenes also, whatever you're doing. Like just like, what are you doing during the day? It could be something random, but just you filming yourself filming. It just shows behind the scenes there.
Heck yeah. All right, so I am going to focus my phone so we don't get any fun messages coming up. And then I'm going to log into the Zoom so that I can share my phone screen as well. Make sure I mute my phone. While we're waiting, drop the links for the gear. So for the gear, you can DM Ian of Austin, or you can, Shannon will be sending out a link to a gear after the class.
Yeah. DMing him will be faster. It takes me a while to get the recordings and everything back. So yeah.
All right. Cellular.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it stopped making noise. There we go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen on here. And let's see if it comes up. It does.
There we go.
All right, so then we're going to pin this. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so you can hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
It's echoing on the phone, so let's see if I can turn that off. There we go. Out of here. All right, there we go. And you can still hear me?
Yep, you're great.
Thank you. All right, so CapCut. I'm just gonna super quickly go over a couple of these other things. See, I have InShot on here. I have Photo Leap. I have Loom. I have like I've used so many apps. And again, it goes back to what is the one that I can use consistently that has this whole suite of features, not just X or Y or Z. InShot is really cool because they've done a really good job with adding some fun transitions and templates, which we'll talk about. Templates are templates are a little advanced, but we'll go over that. So I'm opening up CapCut. I've got this little Mother's Day thing. Another thing, CapCut is free, and most of the features that you want to use, you can do for free. There are a few advanced features, which if you want to buy CapCut, I think it's like $30 a year, something like that.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap. So you can do that, but most of what you would need, you can do for free on CapCut. Where are all my other videos? Oh, view all. Okay. All right. So let me start off by going over the stuff at the top, and I'll try to make it pretty short. We're at 11:18. So as I don't know if you saw this, I was able to pull down. There's an expand in the top right-hand corner, and I can click expand, and it gives me all of these cool little options. So a great idea would be video translator. If you are a realtor that wants to work on doing content for another audience that doesn't speak English, or if English is a second language for you and you just want to have the captions converted to English, anything like that, you can do that. It's built into CapCut. They have, as you see, photo editors. If you wanted to do AI effects, so that's good. Sometimes you'll see a lot of AI content put out. There's a whole section in CapCut to help you do that. Script. So this is interesting. So you can treat CapCut like a teleprompter where you drop a script in and you put it up here, and as you're reading the script, it'll scroll through the teleprompter, and where it places the wording keeps your eyes from looking like they're roaming as much as other apps, because the words are showing up directly in the center under the camera icon. So the script is really nice. You can use the camera within CapCut to do all your recordings. Here's how I feel about that, because this always comes up as a question. If you like the camera on your phone and you think that you'll use this on more than one platform, I would say use the camera on your phone and make it the highest quality possible. Everything from there, you can put it in CapCut, make it smaller, make it like a lower quality so that it fits Instagram, all these things. I like to do it on my phone because I am comfortable with those camera controls, and then it doesn't exist kind of solely within an app. And it allows me to be a little more flexible with that. Because maybe I'll do some of it in CapCut and the rest I'll upload to my VA in the Philippines, right? Like maybe that's the way I'll handle it. And so having that extra content using the camera outside ends up being beneficial in that way. Retouch. For all the people that wake up in the morning and they don't feel like P. Diddy and they want to have, let's say, their makeup on or maybe change their look a little bit, you can do that with the retouch button, right? So I tend to look tired a lot because I'm go. Like I was up till 2 a.m. and then back up at 5:30 a.m. So I can retouch and remove any kind of bags under my eyes in the content that I'm recording with the click of a button. There is closed captions, auto captions, which I'll show you how to implement those. We talked about teleprompter, and then remove background. So you see that in a lot of these apps like Zoom and Google Meet, and sometimes you'll see it in phones. I'll talk about the cinematic and action mode in a little bit. That's actually a really, really subtle point, but I think it's a big deal, and I'll explain why. So the remove background, I can take everything from behind me, remove it, and then let's say I'm scrolling through an article, or I'm in front of I want to have like my little head talking in front of a house while the house tour is happening. I can use that button to do that. Good so far?
Yeah.
Cool. Your next, pardon me. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so new project is how you would start a new project. So I'm going to start that right away. You go in a new project and it asks you what kind of video, like it's, if you look on the top left where it's, what color is this? Teal, where it'll say what videos do you want to add into CapCut. But let's be careful because there are other things. There's photos, live photos. Generally, it's going to be video. Like I really am a proponent of putting video clips together. But sometimes people want to make a photo reel, and you can do that here. I've had people that log into CapCut. They're like, how do I import photos? This is it. And then you'll notice there are little circles around each one of these video clips. The circles allow you to select multiple clips in order so that you can upload it into CapCut, right? So let's say I have one here. Let's say I have one here. Let's say I have one here, okay? You'll notice the numbers 1, 2, 3. That's the order that it uploads the clips. Here's why this is important. Depending on the style of video, sometimes you're prone to make blemishes or mistakes, I'll call them. So if I do a walkthrough video, which we didn't get to show, and I'll show that before I go further. But if I'm doing a walkthrough video, I actually make a bunch of little clips and then I upload them all together so that I don't have to worry about my ums or my likes or maybe missing a beat when I'm talking about specific content. Because when you're creating short form specifically, if you don't grab their attention or you have pauses or you have filler words, you've lost them most of the time. It's all about, and you know, Shannon, you teach this all the time. It's all about getting their attention right away and making sure that you try to retain it throughout the process, right? So I'm going to use an example of a video. Let's see, what's a good one? Okay, so walkthrough. Okay, so here's a good example of a walkthrough video. Oh, I don't think you can hear it, but the point is, you can't hear it, right?
No, but it's okay. Well, we get the concept.
Yeah. So the concept is just that it's a bunch of clips, and each clip I'm talking about a particular feature, right? Now, someone had asked about the mode. Let's see. You asked about cinematic or action mode. So in these types of videos, I personally choose to start with cinematic mode because I start off as the focal point. I want you to listen to me. I want you to see that there's something behind me that might be interesting to you, but I want you to listen to me first. So in that case, I use cinematic mode, which for those of you that haven't used it yet, if you have an iPhone, cinematic mode blurs your background. It makes it look like a professional camera. The change up, the technical aspect is the quality is generally a little, the frame rate is lower. So it's kind of a technical thing. If you're going to be changing frame rates, you have to realize that when you're putting your video together. All that to say, it blurs your background. That's what matters. Cool. And then in other shots, I'll either have a wider view or, you know, action camera or something like that. It really just depends on what I'm trying to accomplish. But yeah, cinematic mode for talking head video when I am the focus. You want whatever the focus is to be actually the focus in the video. So if I'm doing let's say one of those backflip transition videos, but you can't see me doing the backflip and I'm blurry, but the house is there, that kind of misses the point a little bit. So in that case, I might do an action mode on the camera. Did I articulate the response well enough? Yeah, maybe.
You're good.
Cool. Thanks. All right. So this is great because of cuts too. So I see John. This is great because of cuts too, because people are going to stay watching for a while, I feel, and not get bored. Yes, that is the reason for this. So now I'm back to forever. Now I'm back to CapCut, and I can hit add down at the bottom right-hand corner. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it, but my
you're good. Yeah, we can see it.
So I'm going to hit add, and now I've got 3 video clips that uploaded. automatically in the order that I selected. Wonderful, right? I'm gonna tell you right away, go all the way to the end. And I see so many realtors miss this. And this is for every app. This is like InShot does this, and a bunch of other these apps do this. They put like their own like logo at the end of the videos. And so I can always tell if people have used this or not because they leave the logo in. So I always click this because it's a video clip. I select it with my thumb and I just hit delete. Get out of here. I don't want you to do that. And I have the pro version. It's just funny that they always put it in there to see if you're paying attention. Cool. All right. Next thing is we'll talk about timeline. Most people seem to know or be pretty proficient with how the timeline works and all that. So I'm just going to go over it really quick. In the top middle is what you're seeing on screen. Okay. And then in the bottom, this is called your timeline. And what you'll see is rows, and the rows will have clips. Well, the first row will have the clips that you imported. Okay. So I click on it with my thumb and it selects that clip in that row. If I click anywhere else in this blank space in my timeline, it takes me off and I basically just have the whole thing selected. Okay. The reason why that's important is based on what you're doing, it gives you different controls. So if you look at the bottom are all of my controls. So edit, audio, text, effects, but I don't have any clips selected. So when I choose edit, it's editing everything, like all the clips at once. Or if I'm creating text, it's creating text on everything at once. But if I select that particular clip, which you can see it highlighted, that's how you know, now it changes the controls down at the bottom. See? So I have split, speed, animation. So I have different controls. And these controls are particular to that clip. So a great example is if I go over to enhance voice, which is an option in Capcut, it's enhancing that voice only for that clip. And so a lot of times I'll have audio if I am speaking and it won't sound very clear. So I might want to enhance it. But then there might be another clip where it sounds perfect. I don't need to touch that. So I would select the clips individually, choose enhance, and now I'm good to go. The same applies to adjust, which allows me to change the visual look, the aesthetic of that particular clip. So one clip might be a little too bright, and then the next clip might be a little too dark. So I can go in and adjust at an individual level. So I'm going to use that as an example. So I'm going to click adjust, and it brings up a whole suite of controls. The first control is often the easiest in an intuitive app such as Capcut. So you'll see to the left, down towards the middle, it says auto adjust. That's my favorite. I'll click on auto adjust. Boom, brightens it up just right. And then there's a little slider below that. And this applies to almost every control. There's a little slider where it's how intense do I want that auto adjust to be. So it starts off at like a 90% and I can drag it, or 80%, and I can drag it. Let me get 100% of that boost. So I've got 100% of that boost. The next thing that's really important is down below that. It says, let's say you screwed up, you can hit reset, or you can hit apply to all. You say, you know what? I just want an auto adjust on all of my clips. I would hit apply to all, and then all 3 clips that I imported are now boosted. And you can tell because here, if you look at the video, you can see how much brighter, how much greener the grass is. So there's something about our personalities where higher contrast or higher saturation, all these different things matter to your audience. And so I would encourage you to figure out who are you talking to and what do they like the most, right? Because if you're talking to, I'll say, an engineer, is he going to care how bright and flashy the grass is? Maybe, but not as much as the content that you're delivering. So if I want it to look cinematic, not only am I going to use the cinematic mode on my camera, but I might choose a filter that looks more like a Hollywood movie, which is usually subdued or a different color. It's not going to be just bright green, right? So you really want to know more about your audience and the intent behind the video that you're creating. Okay. All right. So that's pretty good basic stuff. Are there other things that people want to go into from here, or do you just want me to keep talking and sharing? Let me start with keep talking and sharing. If I see stuff in the comments, I'll.
Something else I think just for me that it's also helpful is you can also resize things. So like, let's say that first clip you wanted to zoom in more or something like that. You can easily, like, while it's selected, just kind of pinch and drag your fingers and make something bigger or smaller or whatever. So that's like another easy thing is sometimes I'll like film something and I'm like, oh, I'm too far away, or it's like, you know, you can't really see the part of the kitchen or whatever I was focused on. So just being able to click that and just pinch and resize that one clip is another way that's easy.
100%. In fact, that's something I would need to show next, and here's why. Many of us are savvy enough to realize now that the direction you hold your phone is going to dictate how your video is exported, right? Or how your video looks, or what platform your people are watching it on. So if you're making it an Instagram short, then you'll want it to be vertical. If you're making a YouTube long form video, you'll generally want it to be horizontal. Okay. Capcut and some of these other apps, but specifically Capcut, allows you to adjust that from here. So if I wanted to take this clip and turn it into a YouTube style long form, there's an option down there. But before I do that, I'm going to slide over to this very next clip. So you'll see this clip. I can tell that it's full screen because I don't see any black bars on the sides or at the bottom or top. But when I get to my next clip, you'll look and you'll see a black bar at the top or at the bottom. That is probably my biggest pet peeve when I realize that an agent or a content creator did not fill that in intentionally, or like they just didn't know. Now, there are applications for this. One of the applications is if you want to have text or a logo. This actually works out really well because you can just put text up here and then it's never blocked and it's always easy to see. Right? So that's a thought. But generally, when I'm doing short form content, the focus is it should be the story, like what's happening. And so because of that, I'll select the clip, like Shannon said, and then you'll see a little border around it, a teal border around it. From there, like with anything else on any phone lately, except flip phones, you can take your two fingers, pinch and zoom. And so that's what I'll do. I'll pinch and zoom. CapCut's really clever in that as I move it around, you'll see little reticles or lines that let me know, am I centered? It's big. So now this goes back to another component that I want to share. I don't know if everybody has seen this or heard of this, but when you go into your main camera on your iPhone, okay, so I've got my main camera, you'll notice I have grid lines. In the grid lines do not show up in the video, but they allow me to make sure that whatever my focus is central. This becomes extremely important if you're trying to do one video that applies to multiple types of platforms. Okay, so if I'm going to do some vertical, some horizontal, some of this, some of that, some short form, some long form, the best way, if I just don't know what I'm going to do, is to make sure that you get as much of the focus inside of this middle square as you can. Right? So the grid lines on your phone just help with figuring that out. And the reason why is because if I go back to CapCut and I'm doing this, let's say, so this is Bernardo. He is oh my gosh, an Iranian military special forces. He does tactical training to celebrities and all sorts of stuff. So he is in the top left of the screen. And so if I'm showing this, I almost have to pull it together to get the focus, but I might be off, right? So I'm trying to keep him and what he's doing in focus. So I go back to this clip. I can take this and slide it over. In this case, so that it keeps him in focus a little bit better, like the point, the intent of the video. But also, let's say, and I'll show you this, if I don't have anything selected, I go to my bottom bar, I'll slide it over. I'll go to aspect ratio. Let's see if it shows it on here. I'm going to turn my text off. I got my closed captions on and I can't see any of the controls. It's kind of bad. There we go. Okay, so you see aspect ratio. So you see stickers, templates, aspect ratio at the bottom toward the right. So I click on aspect ratio, and now I have the controls to choose. I'll get back to the grid lines in a second. I have the controls to choose. Do I want it to be a TikTok video? Do I want it to be a square Instagram post, not a reel, right? Do I want it to be a YouTube wide video? And then I've got a few other options for different phones and styles, and you can even customize it. So like the far right, the 235-1 is cinematic mode for, like, I've got these ultra wide monitors and I might want to do that for cinematic mode. It really goes back to, what is your audience going to be watching this on? Are they going to be using their phone? Are they going to be watching it on their desktop? How are you creating this? Are they going to be watching it on their TV at home? Because that's all going to be a different aspect ratio. Okay, so let's say this is for YouTube long form. I'm going to check the box. Now, it can't do it for just that clip. It's going to do it for everything. So now all my videos are thrown off. So let me go back to the Bernardo video. Because I had him as the center focus, I can maybe zoom in and slide it over. There we go. Let me even make it a little bit smaller. Zoom to the left. There we go. Do like this. That's good. And now, if I'm watching it on YouTube, look, I lost his head. That means I'm going to click it and drag it down a little bit, because that's what's important, right? So when I'm doing the video, look, I lost it again. So these are the things that you want to think about with the grid lines. I never had any intent to put this on YouTube, but this is showcasing why having those grid lines can be powerful. And these are, yeah, can be powerful. A lot of professional cameras will allow you to have the grid lines on the screen. So if you do want to have a videographer or a, a nice camera and shoot some content, that's going to be a really important point. So, because you can see as I'm doing this, I would have to change each clip and adjust it to fit, or just get rid of everything before this point, because I'm like all over the place. I didn't have a focus on him. Okay, so let me go back to the far left. This first clip, same thing here. I've got an Instagrammable clip, but two giant black bars on the side. So now I want to click on this, zoom in until it fills. And now as I spin around, this fits YouTube. Same content, nothing changed.
I thought I paused it.
Are we good? You have any questions, Joe? All right, someone asked me in the comments how to do the grid lines in your phone. Short answer is you go into your settings on your iPhone and on Android. On Android, you go into the camera app. On iPhone, you go into the settings app. I like to pull it down and go to search, and then I type grid. And it'll show up, it'll pull up the camera app. And then it asks, do I want to use the grid? So the answer is yes. Android phones give you so many more options. They give you like point of three, they give you the grids, they give you all sorts of, they give you so many more options, but the grid works in a pinch. Let me say it that way. The next thing is, this is really, really, really important. So many people, oh my gosh, another pet peeve of mine, when I'm watching people make content, I get distracted easily, as you can probably tell from this. Most videos I see from real estate agents specifically, this is how you know they're not content creators, or they're not proficient at creating content. Their text will be backwards, right? So you can do a couple things. One, if you see it right here, grid level front camera, you can actually reverse the mirror and make sure everything that you take is mirrored so that your text shows up correctly in a video. If you forget to do that, or maybe you don't want that on your main camera, you can do that within Capcut per clip. Really cool. So I'll go back to Capcut. And so right now, you can see it right here where it says kick butt coffee in the middle. Half the time I see people doing content and it's flipped. So I'm going to go down to the bottom. The option in Capcut is called transform. I click mirror on the left. And this is what I see most realtors do, is their shirts are flipped. Like it says that you can't read that, which removes some of the immersion from the story that you're trying to craft for these people, for your clients or realtors or whatever. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Same thing as far as rotate. So I might be in a situation where maybe I want to take a screenshot or make a thumbnail or something like that. I would click rotate and I can spin it around real quick. Or I can take my 2 fingers like I do with a pinch and zoom, and I can actually rotate it. Now let me minimize this. Select the clip, and I can actually rotate it to the angle that I want. See that? So maybe I want it this way. Where it gets challenging is if you're going to do this rotation, you'll see the teal lines on the side. Those teal lines might create a little black border at the edge, right? So I would just zoom in a little bit to get rid of that. And now I've filled the screen with a slightly rotated image for whatever the point of the story was, right? Sometimes I want that. I'm going to show you an example of where I use that, which goes back to why it's relevant. Okay, so I'm going to play a video. Well, I'll do this one. Here, this is the first one. Pay attention to the landing or the transition between the backflip. Pay close attention. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. So I don't know if you caught it, but in there, I did exactly that. I landed a little askew, but I wanted to enhance that effect so it looked like I landed correctly. I was like stumbling. I was like, nobody knows this. So what I did is I turned the angle and landed and made it look like I was landing perfectly in the video. So I'm going to watch it now. Now that I've explained that, I'm going to show you one more time. See that? The whole screen for both of them rotated. Got it?
Ian, how did you do that though? Was it like a zoom? You know what I mean? Because the whole clip was probably shot, vertically, obviously. And then at one point, did you split it with a zoom? What did you do?
Okay, I'll show that. So I'll show it here. Now, these are 2 completely different clips. They don't go together at all, but I'm going to explain like the process for that. So we haven't gotten into transitions yet, but as you have a clip selected, so I select this clip, you'll see 2 edges at either side. So on the left and on the right of that particular clip. If I drag it's right here. If I drag the end of the clip, I can choose where it ends and where it begins, where that clip ends. And so that lets me select the point where I want to start a transition from one to another. Okay. When I deselect the clip, you'll see it here. So it goes straight from one video to the other video. So maybe I want it a little bit longer. Boom. And then this line, this white line, lets me know what I'm seeing at the right time. So I'll move it. Boom, boom, boom. Next, I'll go in and I'll actually click right here between the 2. So if I have everything deselected, it'll show up with this little square and a black line in between. This is I'll call it a transition control, or let's call it a transition control. So I click on it. And now it brings up a ton of options, okay? And you can see it, and it tells you quickly which ones are pro and which ones are not. So if there's nothing on there that says pro, then good, right? But so I'll use one that is not pro. A pullout is a fantastic example. It's one of my favorites for immersion. So this goes back to when you're crafting a story, you want people to be drawn into what's happening. And you're creating this immersive experience. And a lot of people don't see the detail behind that, but that immersion gets people to enjoy what's going on. Okay, so I clicked it. Before I do anything else, I want to show that there's a line at the bottom, and it shows how long that transition is going to be. So I can take a whole 1.3 seconds, which is a long time for a transition, or I can make it like super fast. Be like, boom. It depends, again, on what your style of video is. If you speak really quickly and you're just panning back and forth and you know that your audience is 17 years old, Why would it be? I don't know. Maybe you're talking to their parents. You're like, do your parents want to do this, this, that? And you are intentionally adjusting your cadence. Maybe a fast transition makes a lot of sense. But if you're talking to somebody that is, maybe they've been around for a while, they're going through their legacy years, they're looking for a sunset or a home situation, you might want to slow down the transitions, because while they're nice, they can be a little distracting for someone that doesn't like watching fast-paced content. So I'll pull it up here. I'll go all the way to 1.3 seconds, and then I'll check the box. And so I'm going to play the difference between the two, and it'll go from this first clip to the second clip with the longest version of that particular transition. So I'm going to play. See that? I'm going to check the box again, and I'm going to make it super fast so that we can see how fast a fast version of that exact transition is going to be. So I'm going to check it. I'm going to slide here, hit play. Boom, super, like so fast, almost so fast that you can't see it. But when you're attention grabbing on a short form video, you want to be as quick as possible. When you're talking long form, you want to adjust it so that people have a minute to digest, because that's the point. The point is to give them a longer format version and a little more detail behind everything. Okay. Once again, that particular transition was a pull-in. So what it should do is it should zoom in. So where does that come into play? Let's say I'm closing a door and I want to transition from the door close to me being inside the house or being in a different room. That would be a perfect spot to use this pull-in transition, because you see the door slap, and then you would see the film, the camera go zoom, almost make a zoom effect. Right? So this pull-in transition would be perfect for that type. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make it a little bit, I'll put it in the middle. And so imagine that. Imagine a door closing or a phone hanging up. And you have this motion that you're making. You want that motion to be, is contiguous the word? You'll want it to be contiguous with the action that's happening on the screen. So if a door is closing into you, that pull-in makes that zoom feel appropriate. It's a trick that a lot of cinematographers use. It's continuity in movies. Anyway, so I'm going to play it again and just watch that particular zoom in, because that's what this is doing. It's subtle, but it makes a big impact when you want to increase your level of production, your production value, and it's so easy to do on Capcut. Okay. What time? We're at 11:50. First, let me stop and ask, is there anything else in particular that you want me to focus on? Because I can go for hours. I can talk about this way too long, but I don't want to overwhelm.
I share one that I use all the time, and that's just adding an overlay, which I think you might have done earlier, because someone was like, how did you get yourself like talking? There was like a clip of you talking about something, and then there was like a background video of a kitchen.
Yep.
But I use overlays like constantly.
So I'll show that. So what we didn't show is how to pull in more clips. So to the far right, you'll see a giant plus sign. Based on where your I forget what this is called, but like your location line is, like this is where you are in the video. Based on where that is, when you click the plus and you import a new clip, it'll just put it right behind there. So if I'm right here, it'll put it just after this clip. So I'm going to import one. So I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to choose. I'll choose. I want a short one. I'll choose this one. It's already in there too, but oh, by the way, this is actually a really good subtle point. You'll see it says added. That one in the middle at the top, it says added, which means I already have it in here somewhere. So it's fun that it does that. But I'm gonna pull in another one. Let's do this one. Okay. So I'm gonna hit add or this one, and I hit add. Okay, so now what it did is it put that video right here. Okay. So I'm going to zoom. I'm going to go to the next one. Same here. Okay. So it pulled both of those in. So what I want to do is I selected the clip. I can choose remove BG. And then you'll see at the bottom left, it says auto removal. Most of the time, that's sufficient. I'm going to explain the other two, but not show them. You'll have custom removal where you can take your finger and select all the stuff you want to take out of it. Or you have chroma key, which is generally just a color. If you have a green screen behind you or a solid color wall behind you, it might work. Oftentimes, the thing that people miss is the lighting and the shadows make it a different color behind you. So the chroma key it's usually best in like a studio controlled lighting environment where auto removal is pretty darn good. It uses AI to detect how to remove the background from people. So I'm going to click on auto removal. And there we go. This is not to be professional. It's just to showcase how it works. Like this is I don't know, I look weird. I look weird half the time anyway. The next thing, so I can restore if I want to undo it, or I can click stroke, which puts that line around me like a thumbnail. If your clients are you know, I'll say in college, then this might work, right? But if you're trying to be a little more professional, then there might be something else. Maybe the glow makes more sense, or maybe a shadow behind you makes more sense. So I'll do that. I'll click the color black, so it looks like a shadow, and then I'm going to minimize. So in order to minimize, you'll see stroke right here. I will go over to the right where it's that little drop. It basically says, take the menu and make it smaller. So I'll take the menu and make it smaller. Now I will accept that change, which is at the bottom, this auto removal change. Check the box. And now I've got this clip with nothing behind me. So what I can do is I can actually take that. Well, let me do it this way. So I have the clip selected. At the bottom, you see how I have all these controls? I can choose overlay. Right, so I'll do that again. I'll select the clip. I'll scroll down to the right, and I'll look for the one that says overlay. And what it'll do is it'll take that clip and drop it down a level. Now I've got 2 levels of video. Well, if I move this over, I've got my head in front of another video. All right. Why is this great? 100 reasons, right? It could be great if you're doing a walkthrough video of a home and then later you're just talking. Most people will just do a voiceover, an audio voiceover. But how much, I don't know if better is the word, but how much different could it be for your audience if they were watching you talk as you're going through the home and you have a script that's tied to it? So there are all these things. So anyway, this is a great way to do that. So Shannon crushes it with these when she puts these together, because she might be talking about an article and it's just her scrolling through. And then next thing you know,
I did one that's like pinned to the top of my page. If you check out my page, it's the second one. And it's a video of me talking to Usher. And I had so many people that were like, how are you talking to him? Like, what in the world? How did you do that? And all it was I screen recorded the Usher video of him where he's like, you know, like, are you serious? What's going on? Whatever. And so I just screen recorded that, resized it. And then I recorded my part as if I'm talking to him, like the other half of the conversation. So I just put my video in there. I put the Usher video in there. I made him the overlay. And then I went to transform and I just resized them. I cropped them. You can crop, you can, you know, shrink them in. So I just made it look like he appeared. And then when he left, I used a little transition just to make it look like he left the conversation. And then it was just my video left. So go to the grid. There we go. And it should be the second one.
Perfect. I almost died when I saw this video. I love this video, but I don't have the sound. I want to show it anyway so you can kind of see.
Yeah. So just me. This is my video. Little transition. He's an overlay. And that's all it is. And people are like, oh my God, how did you do that? It's screen recording. I know it's like copyright, but it's like we use it all the time. And that's what you see a lot of like in TikTok and stuff is like people will take a scene from a little movie or whatever. And then he hangs up on me and I just did a little transition where it looks like he just drops out of the conversation. So I do like your tip also on like make it look like if something moved or it slammed, pick the transition that goes go right, go left, go down, whatever. And it just makes it look a little more realistic. That's all that was. 2 videos on top.
It was so good. And listen, like you can tell I study this. Like I watch what's going on. That is a masterclass in telling stories. Shannon is so darn good at conveying a story to her audience. But of course, she was a teacher before, and so that makes it easier for her to take that and, kind of summarize the
But you could
intent.
do the same thing. Like people are like, well, I want to be talking to someone. I want to show both of our heads or whatever. You just combine the two clips. Like if you're interviewing, if one person's being recorded and whatever, it's just literally like overlaying one and resizing it. So that's all it is, just to put two videos together. So many ways to do that.
I mean, we're at 11:57. I figure I would stop it there.
Yeah, that's perfect. I know we're running out of time. Like literally we could go all day.
I know.
And just like there's so much more. What is in the chat if y'all want to like drop what was the best tip you learned where you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I learned that today. Or you can come off mute and tell us. Someone said like the mirror effect, to fix text. Everything so far.
And again, so the beautiful thing is you can take this and then apply it to, if you're already comfortable with InShot, great. See if these same options are available to you, because like the camera, the grid thing, that applies to anything you do here moving forward. I call it a life skill. That is a life skill that will improve all of your content moving forward.
All right. Well, if you have further questions, Ian is one of the nicest people. He will absolutely answer it. Like I said, if you want to know his gear and all that stuff, follow him on Instagram and just send him a message. I will get the recordings out and I will send like a link where you can go back and watch the replay as well. And if Ian gives me that list, I'll have that there in the replay link as well. So thank you guys so much for coming, and go out and make videos. Have fun. It should be fun. I love his passion for creating stuff. And it's like if you can get past some of the technicalities where it's like, oh, this is cool, it just makes life so much easier when it comes to editing. All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next month. I got Marie Lee from Tennessee coming on as special guest next month. So that'll be a good one as well.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. See ya.